privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine. Warm. We'll see a high of around 3. Showers on the low of 7. Tomorrow, basically like a repeat of today with more sun forecast, but lots of storms late in the day. Tomorrow, we'll see a high of 2. Meteorologist Kyle Peck, 90.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for 3! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Welcome to On the Block. E. Strick here, Austin Orman. Once again, it's a 2 to 4. It's a new week. We are here on the block today. A lot of stuff and news we're going to talk about. We're definitely going to get into some of the MLB Draft. Wonderful news for some Huskers. Some got the greeting that they wanted, but some obviously did not. But that's okay. We're gonna celebrate them anyway. Wonderful job for Husker baseball. We're gonna talk a little bit today about the MLB, the All-Star game, what that means, what it looks like, how can it possibly be better. We'll get into some of those things. We'll talk a little bit today also about LSU and the wonderful run that they had in college sports, not just in football, not just in basketball, women's basketball, but in the totality of the season, how LSU has done a wonderful job. Definitely going to talk a little bit about Coach Fitzgerald and what's going on out there in Northwestern. Austin and I, Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul is our sponsor. We're appreciative of them and the wonderful work. I'm not in studio today. I'm still here in Vegas. Have a few more things to tidy up and tend to before I return home tomorrow. But nonetheless, Austin, how are you today, my friend?
Strick, I am great. It's good to hear your voice again. Thanks for popping in on Friday. Thanks for doing the show again from Vegas, the Las Vegas Strick, I guess we can call you at this point. But how was Vegas? How was UFC? How was Summer League?
Man, listen, the UFC stuff was absolutely phenomenal. It was a great card too. A lot of wonderful fighters that we had a chance to bump shoulders and rub arms with. But it was also cool to meet some of the legends. That was phenomenal as well. UFC is definitely banging and it's on fire. The Summer League stuff is going well. Obviously, Wembanyama got off to a tough and rough start the first game, coming back and bouncing back with a phenomenal game to follow that up. Great to see some of the young players to be able to showcase their skills and to get an opportunity to present themselves to the NBA community. And so that was something that's been going well as also. It's been hot out here. That is another thing that you must deal with as well. But I look forward to getting back to Nebraska.
Absolutely. What do you make of Wemby? The first game, right? He said his cardio was off, not doing that well. And then he responds, right? Maybe not great at the free throw line in a tight game, could have won it. But other than that, it seems like the defensive impact is there with the wingspan. The rebounding is still there. Hard for it not to be there at 7-4. But what do you make of the overreaction to game one, the response in game two, and just the the whole cycle for prospects like that when they have one bad game and then one good game?
Well, that's one of the things that you're going to find is when they come over. One, there's two things that you're going to find with guys like Wembanyama, especially for European talent or overseas talent, is you're going to see there's going to be an adjustment period. You're going to get first, you got to get adjustment to the place, the culture, the style, different style of play. Some of the physicalities they deal with over there. Also, the cardio. I mean, they're going to play probably more games or probably practice more intensely than they probably do in the normal European leagues that they play in. And they only play twice a week. So you've got to be able to make those adjustments. His body's going to take some time. It reminds me very much of Dirk Nowitzki. So when Dirk first came over, it was a learning curve. It was a learning period that he had to go through. some of the physicality parts of it, but some of the things that you saw was some of the tools that he possessed that you knew that once he figured it out, once he became and made the adjustment, that he would be great. So those are some of the things that we're going to be looking for and hopefully be able to see more of as he continues in his career arc.
The other thing that I thought was interesting about what Wembanyama was doing and said in Summer League was he said after, Vegas Summer League is done, he's essentially shutting down media availability. And, it seems like that wouldn't be a great idea on its face because, you're the number one pick. People want to get to know you. But at the same time, Strick, think about everything this 19-year-old kid has gone through, in the past month, the past 6 months with all the attention around him. Yeah. It's hard to blame him for wanting to shut it down for a little bit.
Well, there's no question. I mean, you definitely want to do that because you want to rechannel and have a different focus. And the focus in what do I need to do? What adjustments do I need to make? How can I continue to better myself in preparation for the season that's coming up? Then you had the media blitz that was going on that was hitting the circuit with regards to the Britney Spears situation. That's negative energy that gets put into the atmosphere. And so you don't want to have to deal with those things. And not that that's the issue, but there's just those media individuals that are going to be questioning, going to be asking, and going to be dealing with him with the standard that has been set for him in his coming. Anytime people start labeling you and putting you in the categories of you're the next LeBron James, you're always going to get media scrutiny. So that's one of the things that they're going to try to tighten up on. Yeah.
What were your experiences with media in your playing days, inside the locker room, out of the locker room?
Oh, well, it was crazy because I was one of the guys that was most sought after. I don't know if it was a charismatic thing or something but that was something that they would come to me in a lot of those instances. Mike Finley was kind of a no nonsense, kind of a quiet guy. Steve is very much the same way. Dirk was still trying to learn English at that time. So I was pretty much one of the guys that they'd come to, being that I was a starter at the time. So, but I did have a media issue that turned me sour with the media and it caused friction between me and my coach, Don Nelson, where the media has a way sometimes of coming to you and asking you questions, getting you to talk in detail about specific situations, about the team or maybe players or things that are going on with the team. Maybe you're having a bad run and you're losing some games and you're talking about different things. And in that conversation with the media, I gave them a whole segment of content, but they only took snippets and pieces of it, which started to speak ill will to my coach. It seemed like the perception of it looked like it was a negative comments that were going towards my coach. And I literally had to go to Don Nelson because he was looking at me funny. And I had to tell him, I said, Coach, I didn't say that. That's not what I said. They only took a snippet. So it got us back on the same page. And it also put us against the media in some instances. And so in talking with that guy, I didn't talk to him anymore. So I think he just wants to get back to focus. I think that's what he wants to do. He wants to set his eyes on the goal and the prize. Obviously, that's to make the Spurs better, and that's what he's going to be focusing on.
What's your advice to him, as he deals with media? What's the best way to approach it? What are like the do's and don'ts?
Well, definitely just be guarded. Be guarded with how you discuss and how you speak of your team, and make sure that you're cognizant of them just being able to don't have off the record conversations. Those things can hurt you as well, because to you could say off the record and to them it's not off the record. It's candid conversations that they want to use, because obviously media sometimes wants to drive numbers. And so that's some of the things that you got to be, really, really aware of when you're dealing with the media. And so he wants to make sure that he has positive, and as a leader that he's going to be with the Spurs, he wants to be someone that speaks well of them, the organization, and what they're doing.
Given that you were the go-to, maybe it's not surprising that you're in, sports talk radio now, being one of those talking heads.
I don't think I'm that good at it, honestly. I don't think I'm all right, man. I enjoy it. I love it, but I don't think I'm that good at it.
Well, we love having you. But if someone told you 15 years ago that you were going to end up on sports talk radio, would you have believed them?
Never. If it wasn't for DP, I wouldn't even be here. because I'm kind of a no nonsense guy. I like to kind of stay behind the curtains a little bit, like the Wizard of Oz. That's kind of my thing. I like to, a lot of stuff is happening on the outside. I like to be kind of behind the scenes, and really I like to push people. That's why, like, people, when I was coaching and stuff, like, they're like, well, you should be the head coach, or you should, go for this. And I really like supporting people. Yes, I'm a leader, and I do that, and, been captain on teams and stuff like that. But I really like supporting people. I like to see other people win. I want to see them succeed. I don't need any of the credit. I mean, it's very similar for what I did with Cerebro Sports. At one point, with Cerebro Sports, which is the company, we're out here right now. We're going to do some meetings with some companies and organizations and execs. But at one point, I was a COO, and I told him, I said, listen, I don't need to be in the forefront. I don't need to take any of the credit. I don't need to even be engaged or in the spotlight. I don't mind just supporting you and just coming to meetings and doing things like that. I really just like being in the background.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you. I'm glad you're here. It's been awesome, being your partner now for 7 months. Which is
it's kind of crazy.
But yeah, anyways, we're glad you're here. We appreciate your takes. Let's take a break here. Maybe some MLB draft, maybe some LSU to round out hour one. And then Aaron on the text line. We'll get to that question about the next coach at Northwestern in hour two. We'll dive into all that and more next here on the block.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Summer is near. Now's the time to clean or replace your furnace filter to get the most out of your AC. Find energy-saving tips at les.com/save-energy.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Hey guys, Jake Sorensen here from Early Break, and on behalf of the entire 93.7 The Ticket team, we are excited to announce this fall we are teaming up with Husker Extra for the Big Red Brunch. We'll have big names from now and the past from Husker Sports, and that all starts on Wednesday, August 9th for the Big Red Brunch Golf Scramble at Tiburon Golf Club in Gretna. Sign up to play today at omaha.com and find the Big Red Brunch tab. You won't want to miss this on August 9th at Tiburon in Gretna.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Hey, CNC machinists, do you feel like you're in a dead-end job with your boss hovering over your shoulder? That's so annoying. Not at Garner Industries. We provide the opportunity and trust our CNC machinists to bring the talent. I'm Bob Williams, HR Director at Garner Industries, and we're looking for new team members in our CNC department. At Garner Industries, you'll work in a clean, climate-controlled, and safe environment with team members who want to see you succeed. You will also enjoy 4-day work weeks, great benefits, and a positive working culture. Interested? Apply on our career page at garnerindustries.com.
Summer is near. Now's the time to clean or replace your furnace filter to get the most out of your AC. Find energy-saving tips at les.com/save-energy.
Hey guys, Jake Sorensen here from Early Break. The garage door at our house has been needing replacement for a couple years, and a few months ago, we finally did something about it. Steve's Garage Doors and Services was great through the whole process in providing options and also going to the next level to get a door that was approved by our HOA. And best of all, the removal of the old door and installation of the new door was done smoothly with no issues. Call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today at 402-480-9462.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back on the block. Strick, Austin Norman here. We're going to get into a wonderful segment that I'm excited about. I'm grateful for what the baseball team has been able to accomplish. And now we have some wonderful news to share in a few of the players that were able to be drafted over the last MLB draft. So let's get into that a little bit. Obviously, Bryce Matthews and Max Anderson are two of the ones that we thought would be Nebraska baseball players that had an opportunity to arise and go to the next level. We just didn't know how it would fare or where they would go. But at this point, we know that Bryce Matthews finds his way to become a Houston Astro and Max Anderson a Detroit Tiger. Let's get into that a little bit, because when Bryce was drafted, there was something that is pretty unexpected. Usually when you're talking about MLB, you usually see this happen a lot in the NFL or maybe in the NBA, where a specific player gets pulled up and next thing you know, everybody is not like the move. You see that definitely in the NFL football draft. But Bryce kind of found himself in a situation that, you know, it can be hurtful, but it can also motivate you. And let's dig in that a little bit. How do you feel about Bryce Matthews being booed? Texas at the Sutter Heyman text line 402-464-5685. Are you ready to boo the Astros now? Or if you're an Astros fan, are you going to continue to support? But Austin, what's your thoughts on that? Finding that Max Anderson, one of the, only infielders that since 215?
Yeah.
To become an infielder that's been drafted that high. What's your thoughts on that and the Astros booing him?
So, yeah, credit to Max and Bryce. Saw this note. I don't remember if it was the Huskers that put it out, but they're Bryce and Max combined, the first middle infield to be drafted in the first two rounds since 2015. That was Arizona with Kevin Newman and Scott Kingery. So it's rare. It doesn't happen a lot. So definitely a tip of the cap to those two guys. As it relates to Bryce Matthews, being booed, my hope and my belief is the crowd was booing Commissioner Manfred because they were doing that all night long. Every time he walked out on stage, they booed him. And it's in Seattle, where Houston and Seattle have gone back and forth. They don't really like each other. So my hope and my belief is it was just a general boo toward, again, the commissioner and toward the Astros more than it was to Bryce Matthews. I don't think there were enough Astros fans there to boo. And that was definitely on the higher range of where, Bryce had been projected to be taken. But I don't think it's such an egregious pick that even if the draft were, held in Houston, that would have been the reaction. The issue I have with it, Strick, is they just, interrupted the biggest moment of Bryce Matthews' life to put their own personal, vendetta against the commissioner and against the Astros in the forefront, right? Like Bryce Matthews has put in all this work. He's a maybe somewhat surprising first round draft selection. And we're not even talking as much about Bryce Matthews being drafted as the boos that are going on. So this is one I wish that the crowd would have stopped their boos, after he said the Houston Astros select.
Right. Yeah.
And then, you have the polite applause for Bryce Matthews, even though he's not in the building. But to boo all the way through, and you can see the look on Manfred's face, too. Like, I've never seen someone look more perturbed than Rob Manfred did in that video. So obviously, you don't feel too bad for Bryce. He had a stellar career. He just got drafted, going to make millions of dollars to sign. But it is unfortunate that the biggest moment of his professional career, the only moment of his professional career so far, is less about him and more about how everyone else approaches his team and the commissioner.
Well, like I say, sometimes it's a dual way of looking at it. It's one course to say, it can hurt your heart. I think it could be in some ways like you said, the greatest moment of the time frame of all the work that you put in, all the time that you put in, all the sweat and the tears that you put in the game of baseball. Doing a wonderful job at it. Probably you overexceeded or overexcelled in probably what some of the expectations were for you. And then you arrive at that moment and then there's boo. So I think it can take you one of two ways. Sometimes it's just like having fodder, right? You just put it on the wall. You just place it in your brain. You're saying, I'm going to prove any and everybody wrong about what I've been able to do, and I belong here, and hopefully strive to be able to get to the MLB, the major league level, not in short due time. So that's one of the best hopes that you can hope for. Just continue to strive and continue to be better.
The good part too is that Bryce wasn't there. He wasn't in Seattle. He was at home with his family, so he wasn't impacted by it in the moment. Right? He's actually there, being able to celebrate with his family after he gets that call, and that part is cool.
Yeah. And there's nothing like the loving arms of a family. Just in those moments where they're like, hey, that's all right. We're going to show them, and to have that support system right there and in the moment. And shout out to Max too, man. Just a tremendous job that those two were able to do, and what they were able to provide for Nebraska baseball, and just some of the fun that they were able to give to Nebraska baseball.
It's awesome for Max. Again, going 45th overall is incredible. The Tigers must really love his ability to hit the baseball. He was a pretty sure defender, definitely got some of that stuff cleaned up the further along he went in college. But Strick, it kind of sucks for me as a Nebraska fan and a Royals fan, that combo. He goes to the AL Central, have to, root against him a little bit. And that just continues a very disturbing trend for Royals fans as it relates to Huskers. I mean, Jabba Chamberlain pitched in the AL Central for a while before going to the Yankees of all teams. Aaron Bummer from Nebraska pitching with the White Sox right now. Plenty other examples I think came up. Brian Dunsing was with the Twins. So the Royals Husker fans out there in the audience, you feel my pain having to root against some of these Huskers, but congrats to Max. And then just today we added one more on, and that's Emmett Olson, the lefty, the Friday guy for Nebraska, gets drafted to your organization, Strick. The Marlins took him.
Yeah. So I got high hopes for him. I'm definitely excited to see where he's able to elevate himself to. Love a good lefty that can paint it and that can throw it pretty well and has a solid arm. I want to just throw this out here too, man. There's somebody that I found very interesting as I began to watch him, and I think there's nothing but, people say the sky's the limit. I don't think there's a limit to where the sky is for this player. But he got elevated probably a little over a month ago, and that's Eli De La Cruz down there with the Cardinals. He's making with the Reds. I'm sorry. Yeah. With the Reds. He is making a lot of noise right now. The noise that he's making, stealing home, just stealing second, stealing third, and then stealing home, and doing it at just high IQ as far as base running is concerned. And then one of the things that I found interesting too is a little bit ago, just to show just the speed that this young man has. And I never thought that like Ricky Henderson could be challenged as far as what he's done. But this guy has that kind of speed that if he can continue to hit and continue to just do what he does with his fielding ability, also, and just to continue to establish his career, when he did something not too long ago, there was a hit. It was a double. It was a 2-run double to center field. He sprinted from first base to home in 11.48 seconds. That is flying. That is absolutely flying, because we used to get tested over that stuff. And when I tell you, that is like motoring around the base paths.
He's insane. I mean, it's 6'6", long-limbed, like you're 6'5", 200. I mean, long, lanky. To be able to stick
Good
at
body.
Shortstop,
Yeah.
right. To be that tall, that lanky at shortstop is incredible. And to me, Strick, this really is what sums it up. So Baseball Savant is out there, and it tracks where guys rank in terms of percentiles, right? So in terms of the max exit velocity off his bat, 98th percentile in all major leagues.
Mm-hmm.
His sprint speed, like you were just talking about, 100th percentile. Might be the fastest player in all of baseball. Oh, and his arm strength, 98th percentile. So he hits the ball, hits the crap out of the ball, hits the cover off the ball, runs like the wind, if not faster, and has a literal cannon attached to his arm.
And he's still young. He's still young. So he hasn't even fully got into his full body and straight. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is insane. I also saw this from High Heat Stats on Twitter. So since 1901, Elly De La Cruz, the 7th player with 10 stolen bases and 10 extra base hits in his first 30 career games, which is incredible. But here's the thing, Strick. The other guys had, like, the most was 14 stolen bases and 11 extra base hits, maybe 13 stolen bases and 15 extra base hits. Elly De La Cruz has 16 stolen bases and 15 extra base hits. He's the only one with at least 15 of each. He's doing stuff we've never seen before. Like, this is alien stuff.
Yeah. And like, remember, I think I shared the story because you're a big Royals fan. And I remembered when I was a rookie, there was a guy by the name of Johnny Damon, who was a Royal, came up through the Royals organization. And when he hit the ball, and I'm talking about infield, it didn't have to be a slow dribbler either. I'm talking about, it could be a solid shot to third. If it was anywhere on from the second base to the left, shortstop to third, if it got anywhere into a gap where you had to go and just make a shift, if you weren't coming straight up to field it to where you can go, he was challenging you and barely either making it infield hits or barely getting out. And that's the kind of speed that Elly De La Cruz has. Period.
Right. Johnny Damon was like a leadoff type, right? Kind of slap hitter, developed a little power, but it's insane seeing what Elly De La Cruz is doing. The Reds in first place in the NL Central after a bad season last year. That's a really cool story. Between Elly De La Cruz and Shohei Ohtani, there are so many guys doing just absolute otherworldly stuff in baseball right now. And it's awesome to tune in and see what kind of history those guys are setting every night.
So that's another step that I want to take. We got to take a quick break, but that's something else I want to dig into is the MLB, right? We've kind of seen a tapering off on, some of the fans in the stands. We've also seen a little tapering off of viewership. And one of the things that I'm trying to, it's just been perturbing me a little bit, and it's been kind of blowing my mind, is trying to figure out how can baseball become better. Now, to me, some people don't like the count. Some people don't like the clock. I think it's been great for baseball. I mean, I remember going over and watch the Salt Dogs, and even though the Salt Dogs had scored in double digits runs by the 6th inning, we were in the 6th inning in less than 2 hours. Like they're approaching the end of the game in like less than 2 hours. And I was really like, wow, it was kind of fun to be in the stadium again because the pace of the game has picked up. So what I want to kind of, talk to some of you, talk to Ryan a little bit, dig into what can MLB do a little bit different or more, or is there anything more that they can do to enhance viewership and to bring people back? Obviously, people are not excited about Manfred, but at the same time, what can they do? What can they do with the MLB? Is the home run derby the best thing going for the All-Star break? We'll talk about that. And also we'll dig into the LSU and just some of the greatness that they had in their last season. We'll be right back. 9-17.
Keep summer green with Judson Bylene and Judson Irrigation. More than 40 years ago, Judson Irrigation started taking in orphans. Lawn sprinkler systems installed by a quickie, cheapy summer job, install 'em and forget 'em outfit, long forgotten. Call Judson Irrigation. They'll never forget you.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Proud to be voted Best Vape Shop.
Generation V.
Is thrilled to announce our newest location is now open at 27th and Superior.
Generation V.
Explore the largest selection of vape, Delta 8, Kratom, all your favorite brands of disposables, e-liquid, and premium THCA flower.
Generation V.
We'll guide you through our extensive collection to help you find the perfect fit.
Generation V.
With locations in Lincoln, Omaha, Seward, York, Kearney, and Beatrice. Visit our newest store now open at 27th and Superior in Lincoln. GenerationV.com. E-cigs contain nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Summer is near. Now's the time to clean or replace your furnace filter to get the most out of your AC. Find energy-saving tips at les.com/save-energy.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top-shelf liquor to crowd-favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine, but lots of warmth too. We'll see a high of around 93. Tonight, we'll see a chance of showers and storms in the low of around 67. And tomorrow basically looks like a repeat of today with more sunshine in the forecast, but can't lots of storms late in the day. Tomorrow, we'll see a high of around 92. Meteorologist Kyle Tucker for 92.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey guys, Jake Sorensen here from Early Break. The garage door at our house has been needing replacement for a couple years, and a few months ago, we finally did something about it. Steve's Garage Doors and Services was great through the whole process in providing options and also going to the next level to get a door that was approved by our HOA. And best of all, the removal of the old door and installation of the new door was done smoothly with no issues. Call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today at 402-480-9462.
A lot of businesses say that they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business feels anything but for your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, as they do with customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times, likely without even knowing, at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. They sell in bulk to save you money, and you can buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to GELandscapeSupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Prashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Hey guys, Jake Sorensen here from Early Break, and on behalf of the entire 93.7 The Ticket team, we are excited to announce this fall we are teaming up with Husker Extra for the Big Red Brunch. We'll have big names from now and the past from Husker sports, and that all starts on Wednesday, August 9th for the Big Red Brunch Golf Scramble at Tiburon Golf Club in Gretna. Sign up to play today at omaha.com and find the Big Red Brunch tab. You won't want to miss this on August 9th at Tiburon in Gretna.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back on the block once again. We're going to continue this segment to discuss a little bit about the MLB and ways that we feel that it can become better and ways that we think could make and enhance the game for viewership and for those. One of the things that we do know, Austin, is that the MLB, as far as in-stadium numbers, are still pretty resilient. They're pretty strong. But viewership and new people to the game is something that they're trying to aspire to and to try to raise their levels. Found themselves caught in the different situations. They have a great labor situation right now. Some of that has been eased out. They've made some additions. But what are some things that can not only make the game better, but also make one of the aspects of the game that has been there for time and time again in most of all sports? I'd like to get into a discussion of how they can make the All-Star game, the MLB All-Star game, better, as well as which All-Star game to you, the listeners, 402-464-5685, is and would you consider to be the best All-Star game, or none of them at all? If there's going to be any type of All-Star situation, which one would you consider? So those are the things I also want to talk about. Meaning, when I say All-Star, that's like World Cup stuff. That's like those are All-Stars from, they play in MLS, they play in European leagues, they play all over, but they come together in an All-Star type of situation. And they play in these type of events. Do you like the World Baseball Championships, better than maybe the All-Star? I mean, just different things like that. We want to discuss that because the baseball situation, Austin, has been one that's really been perturbing to me, and I really want to dig into what can we do, because I do like the clock, and I think that's helped baseball some as far as the speed of the game. But give me some of your thoughts and some of the things that you think that could possibly be, and I'll also add to it, be a way to make it better.
Yeah, pitch clock has been fantastic. Again, it hasn't really changed the game outside of taking away the dead time. So it keeps it fast-paced. It keeps you engaged. And I think that's why, basketball had that boom. You had the high upper-level superstars that went worldwide, right, with the Dream Team in 92. That helped it take off. I think we're more international with baseball now than we were back when, that Dream Team in 1992. You have a great league in Japan, solid league in Korea. We know all about how, the Central and Southern American teams play baseball, and even a little bit, in like the Netherlands and over there in Australia as well. So I think baseball's already, done a good job of being a worldwide game. But I do think there's some valid concerns about baseball's old, right? It's kind of being phased out. So to me, you got to find a way to make it fun for the youth, right? All across the world. That's going to be the way to engage, where you're right. The numbers for the most part in stadiums are pretty good for now, but Strict, the fewer kids that, grow up playing baseball, loving baseball, wanting to prioritize baseball, the sooner it dies. Plain and simple. The sooner it becomes a niche fringe sort of sport. So invest in the stars you have now, right? Try to win back some fans that maybe left baseball. Try to get them to give it another chance. That's going to be a small percentage. Try to, win over new fans. That's also going to be hard to do. People have their routines, their daily lives, their stuff they like and they don't like, but you still have to market your stars in the best way possible, whether that's Ellie De La Cruz, whether that's Shohei Ohtani, whether that's, any one of the guys that just got drafted, now here in a few years, and Skeens, Cruz, Langford, Clark, Jenkins, you take your pick of any of those guys, market them and make young kids wanting to grow up want to be those players. Make them, have that desire to say, oh yeah, look at him. He throws 100 miles an hour. Why can't I throw 101 someday? He hit 40 home runs. Let me model his swing, stuff like that. So to me, the best way for baseball to grow is to really wait for the next generation, right? The generation that's going to enjoy baseball for what it is, the new, slightly faster paced game, and then keep tweaking, right? We don't want to see strikeouts nearly as often as we are. We want to see more action. We want to see more balls in play. So just keep tinkering until you find that right balance between offense and defense, between pitcher and hitter. And I really think that goes a long way.
Yeah, and I think one of the things to consider as well is that, let's just it's kind of been hanging around this point, little trickle down, but the average age of an MLB fan is topping out in the upper 40s. They're 48, right. 50 time, age range. So you have a lot of older, but so we live in an Instagram, we live in a Twitter, we live in a more social media type of generation, and they've still kind of maintained the old school ways. Like I can say this even for myself at 50. I struggle in social media stuff. Some of the younger people, man, are so good at creating these content and doing all of these different things in the way that they use it, and they can make you look like you're in one room and then in the other room, and they do all the cutting and all that. They're good at that, right? And I think that's a way that they have to figure out a way to engage them and to be able to connect with them. And social media, I think, is one of those ways as well. I think some of the things they have to do is we saw what they did with taking out the DH, maybe talking about some realignments are ways in order to spruce up some new energy and maybe getting some new rivalries involved. Like you said, taking some of the younger players and figuring out a way to promote them and get them engaged in the realm with the fans and stuff like that, right? Certain things like, baseball still has blackouts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So get rid of blackouts. I think that's another way. We'd love to hear from you as well. 402-464-5685. These are just some things that I've just kind of been thinking about as I've researched it and looked into it a little bit. But another thing to consider is the purists of the game want things to stay the same. For 100-something years, about 140 years or 50 years, it's been the same. The game has pretty much been the same. Mm-hmm. Whereas like in basketball, you've seen changes. You've seen things go from the Larry Bird, the Magic Johnson era. You saw the center-dominated age. Then you began to see the Michael Jordan change and the Michael Jordan rules come about. Then you begin to see Steph Curry with the three-point barrages. So you saw some adjustments, which kind of brings a little bit of a different element to the game. But I think this is interesting too, and I want to just throw this out there. It is expensive to go to a baseball game. Mm-hmm. You take a family and make your way to a baseball game. This is just a little stat. In 2014, there were 30,346 fans per game. That was the major league average. In 15, it was the same. And it basically 30,366. Game 26 or 20 more fans. In 16, it's 30,132. And then there's where you start to see the tapering off. 17 drops down to 29,909. 2018, 28,651. So you're seeing just some of that tapering off. And inflation is real. To take a family of four, it's easily can be a $200 night for you. So I think getting back to the purest of the game, if you want to go pure, get those fans back into the stadium, throw them in there, have these great days where families can really get out and enjoy the ballpark.
And I think everything you just mentioned, plays together. I think a new TV contract, whether that's going with kind of an NFL, NBA model with I guess the NBA model will be the mix of the big national games, then the regional ones. The regional networks have been so bad in baseball for so long. It's atrocious. So either do that. You're probably not going to have the money or the demand to go full NFL style where it's all, national and you have just a few networks bidding on it before the NFL expanded. But if you figure out regional, cable or over-the-air broadcasts, that's a new source of revenue that means you might be able to keep ticket prices down a little bit. But the other thing that plays into that, Strick, is I think one of the good ways to grow the game of baseball is to make sure you have a great group of committed owners, whether that's 30 right now, whether it's 32 if baseball expands soon, like they're talking about. But think about the teams that aren't very good that we've heard a lot about. The A's. They're known because their owner wants to move them, doesn't care, not investing in the team. John Sherman with the Royals, a pretty new guy, hasn't been there very long, but his first thing is wants to move the team. And he's kind of fighting back and forth with the city of Kansas City and Jackson County and all that. We've heard it with the Rays, who lead the American League East at the All-Star break for the first time in their history, rattled off an incredible, start to the season. And it's still, are they going to move? What's attendance? There are so many cases, Strick, where the owners run their teams like a business and forget about the fans. They have to be run like a business, they have to. But at the same time, there has to be a better balance in there for owners that care about the game, that care about their fans, and understand that maximizing short-term profit more often than not in sports kills your long-term gain. If you can take 15% less profit in the short term, but keep your fans happy, keep them coming to the games over 20 years, that adds up more than let me squeeze everything I can out of it right now and leave the problems for the next guy.
Absolutely. Listen, we can dig into this all day. Unfortunately, time is of the essence for us. We've got to take a break. We'll get into the second hour of On the Block after this. Man, great stuff. We love to continue to hear and maybe address some of your stuff on the text line 402-464-5685, some of the questions or some of the things that you might have thrown out as ways to make it better as well. But we've got to take a break right now. 93.7 The Ticket. We are On the Block. We'll be right back after this.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. The home of Kansas City Royals baseball. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Hey guys, Jake Sorensen here from Early Break. The garage door at our house has been needing replacement for a couple years, and a few months ago, we finally did something about it. Steve's Garage Doors and Services was great through the whole process in providing options and also going to the next level to get a door that was approved by our HOA. And best of all, the removal of the old door and installation of the new door was done smoothly with no issues. Call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today at 402-480-9462.
Keep your planter. Upgrade your technology with a John Deere Performance Upgrade Kit from Landmark Implement. Choose from ExactEmerge, MaxEmerge 5, or MaxEmerge 5E electric drive row units. Take your planter to the next level. Improve yield potential and profitability without buying new. Get new technology, increased performance, and confidence from your planter that's already in your shed. Contact your local Landmark location to order your John Deere Performance Upgrade Kit and experience the Landmark difference.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times, likely without even knowing, at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. They sell in bulk to save you money, and you can buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to GELandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln and across Nebraska by offering a number of services. From group homes to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the support that allows people to live fulfilling lives. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a rewarding career supporting people with developmental disabilities, you can check out open positions along with learning more about services at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
This is Brian at Midwest Bank, and we've been proudly serving clients in the Lincoln community since 2008, and we're excited to open a second location in January 2024 at 70th and Pioneers Boulevard. Our new branch will provide all the convenient services you're looking for in a bank, along with the friendly staff we're known for. Whether you're starting a business or expanding your business, our team is here for you, your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com, member FDIC.
Hey, CNC machinists, do you feel like you're in a dead-end job with your boss hovering over your shoulder? That's so annoying. Not at Garner Industries. We provide the opportunity and trust our CNC machinists to bring the talent. I'm Bob Williams, HR Director at Garner Industries, and we're looking for new team members in our CNC department. At Garner Industries, you'll work in a clean, climate-controlled, and safe environment with team members who want to see you succeed. You will also enjoy 4-day work weeks, great benefits, and a positive working culture. Interested? Apply on our career page at garnerindustries.com.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of local union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine, but lots of warmth too. We'll see a high of around 93. Tonight, we'll see a chance of showers and storms in the low of around 67. And tomorrow basically looks like a repeat of today with more sunshine in the forecast, but lots of storms late in the day tomorrow. We'll see a high of around 92. Meteorologist Kyle Clucker from 92.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Yes, it is. Welcome back. Hour 2 On the Block. I'm Austin Norman at the 93.7 The Ticket Studios in Lincoln. My partner to my right on the stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Way out west, out in Vegas, Eric Strickland, Husker Hall of Famer, 9-year NBA veteran. You said you're coming back tomorrow. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. But the problem with being out west is there really aren't flights that can get you early enough unless you take a red eye, which in most situations from here that's not going to be the case. So I won't get back until the latter half of On the Block. My flight lands at about 3:30, so I won't be on the show tomorrow. Dang it. But I'll definitely be in the studio on Wednesday.
Perfect. We will look forward to that.
When Mary Ellen's is open.
Hey, we're on the same page. On the same page. That's where I was going to go. Strick's back on Wednesday. Mary Ellen's back open for you on Wednesday at 27th and Pine Lake as well. We're going to talk a little bit of Northwestern. We've had some more updates to that situation on the football side. Also now on the baseball side, a new report just broke, and then we'll wrap up the hour with Brian Munson of Husker Online to talk some Nebraska football recruiting. But Strick, we heard everything about the hazing going on at Northwestern, a lot of it sexual, disturbing in nature. I won't go into the details here. Read it for yourself. I don't advise,
no,
having children around telling about it. Anyways, it's disturbing. It's disgusting. It's gross. But then, Strick, we had new allegations come out today. Essentially, the short version of it is that Pat Fitzgerald had instituted his own Allen Iverson rule. So not only was there hazing going on, but former players allege that Pat Fitzgerald and his staff made black players cut off their dreadlocks, all as a part of, coming into the Wildcat way, such as it were. A Hispanic player said that he was forced to have Cinco de Mayo shaved into his head in sort of a similar manner. And players said that they felt they had to essentially act white in order to be accepted on the team. So you pile the racial allegations on top of the hazing allegations that, people have obtained pictures of the whiteboard with all this stuff on it. This is very bad, to say the least, for Northwestern and Pat Fitzgerald.
Yeah, it's not good at all. And like I said, we're not going to get into the specifics on things that were happening. We know that they were happening. The investigation has been ramped up. The local and the school paper has picked up on it. But we're going to just dig a little bit deeper because, let's just talk about initially what the policy states. The Northwestern's official policy on hazing defines it as this: any action taken or situation created intentionally or whether on or off university premises, and whether presented as optional or required to produce mental, physical, and emotional discomfort, servitude, degradation, embarrassment, harassment, or ridicule for the purpose of initiation into, affiliation with, or admission to, or the condition for continued membership in a group, team, or other organization, regardless of the individual's willingness to participate. So that's an example that was written, and in that includes this: sexual violations or other required, encouraged, or expected sexual activity, whether actual or simulated. So, if you know some of the details, if you know kind of some of the things that have transpired, that hits the policy right on. So then the question becomes whether or not Pat Fitzgerald knew. My thing and my take on that, because I don't want to deal with the specifics of it. I don't want to deal with the racial components of it. That'll all come out in the wash and when it's all investigated and done. But I just want to deal with this part of it. When I look at situations like this, Austin, I think about it from this standpoint. I say, whenever something is happening in your locker room, in your team, in the whole totality of the team concept, you have to think about it's a part of the culture. And it is the coach and the staff and those who exhibit what the culture is to be, or what culture is to be accepted. So therefore, whether it's you knew or you just turned a blind eye or you weren't paying attention, that matters neither here nor there. It still ultimately comes down to the league. So let's just take it out of the sports context, Austin. Let's just leave it out of that. Let's just take it into the business context. If this stuff is going on and you're the CEO of the company and a lot of this stuff is happening under your purview, it is you as the head, as the leader, to know what's going in, correct, make the adjustment, or deal with the situation as the head of the culture that is being developed. And that's why I find it tough when you look at this situation to say that he could be indemnified of it, because unfortunately, it's all under your purview.
Even if he didn't know everything that was going on, it sounds like he should have or could have had a much better idea. And to your point, Strick, as the leader of the program, as the head coach, the face of the program, it's his responsibility to know, or at least to find out, right? And Jay and I talked about this a little bit on his show yesterday morning, where there are new and different demands of college football head coaches than there were when Pat Fitzgerald started. There's NIL stuff to deal with. There's transfer portal. They're in the process of, building a new facility and stadium.
Yes, so, $800 million. Yeah.
Right. So there's plenty on Pat Fitzgerald's plate, but that doesn't mean you turn a blind eye to culture. I can see where the temptation would be to, trust the culture, to trust the captains that he put in place to make sure the locker room is running well. But between some of the changeover he's had with his assistant coaches recently, between the loss and through graduation of a lot of these captains, that culture isn't set. And even with those guys, this was going on. So even with everything else Pat Fitzgerald had on his plate, to your point, as the head coach, it's on Pat Fitzgerald to know, to ask those questions, to take that time to figure out what's really going on, in my program, in my locker room. My biggest thing too, Strick, is why would no one ask, is this helping us get better? Who does this help? Who does this hurt? What is this doing to make us stronger as a team, right? It seems like that would be Pat Fitzgerald's thing, cut out the crap, former linebacker, no nonsense guy, either didn't know or didn't care enough to know what was hurting his team. And that's a problem.
And there's no question about it. And let's keep digging. Let's keep digging this trench here. Forget about the fact that their 14-31 record and 9-25 Big Ten mark over the last 4 seasons is bad enough. Just thinking about that. Big Ten Media Day is coming up. So not only do you have the mar of what has transpired in the investigations that are going on, you still have to look at the fact that over the last 4 years, that's kind of what's been the system. Yes, you've won a couple of Big Ten West championships or conference wins as far as in the conference. But ultimately, you have to know that in the coming days and the weeks and even longer, this is only going to get more humiliating and awkward for the Northwestern program. It's not going to be overlooked. They're going to be, when he steps in front of that mic, just know that a lot of these questions are going to be popping up. They're going to be coming up, and they're going to be front and center. And you're going to have to deal with them, address them, hit them head on, or there's no win for you in this situation, Austin. That's just the way I look at it. There's no win. There's no way to win. And if you address it, you hit it face on, then there's the second bar conversation as to then why didn't you deal? It's just accumulation of things that's just going to continue to snowball if you try to address it head on. If you try to walk away from it, then there's only speculation as to what you did, what you didn't do, how you could have did it better, why you didn't do it better. That's all that stuff that's going to continue to play into it. So it's a no-win situation.
Right. Just, a couple and a half weeks away from Big Ten Media Days, which 93.7 The Ticket will be at, by the way. So stay tuned for coverage from that. But think about Northwestern as an institution, as a football program. Does its best work on the football field when it's under the radar, when it's not being talked about, when it's written off as, oh, look at little Northwestern. Well, now not only are you in the spotlight, for the first time since you went to that Big Ten championship game in 2020 against Ohio State, you're in the spotlight for the wrong reason, right? Little quiet old Northwestern, keep to ourselves. We're a private school, kind of insulated, Chicago's Big Ten team, all that, just a steady member of the Big Ten. Well, now you're in the limelight. You're front and center.
How do you sell that? How do you sell that, Austin? Go ahead.
That's the thing. The guy that you would want to sell Northwestern is the
guy, or
guy
even to build the new buildings. Yes.
The guy you want, Pat Fitzgerald, is the one that's in trouble, and that just compounds everything. He's an alumni, former player, drafted, came back and has led them to their most football success ever. He's the guy that you want to serve up on that silver platter to say, hey, things aren't so bad. Hey, we'll recover from this. Hey, we're sorry. Trust me. I know Northwestern. I can get us back there. But you can't rely on him. He might not even be there. He probably shouldn't be there for everything that went on. And that's another complex layer that Northwestern has to deal with.
And the crazy thing is we're starting. What intrigues me is where, how is this all coming? This isn't stuff that's not new. We know that there's been hazing and different things have been going on. This is an extreme version of it, but just kind of look at what's going on down in West Virginia with Bob Huggins right now, right? Mm-hmm. Now he's retained an attorney. He is fighting for his position back. There's been some discrepancy as to whether or not he has put the resignation. Has said that he's going to resign, all of that. And then you look at what's going on at Iowa. Now they're talking about that, Iowa's the beer capital. It's a bunch of it's all this freaking news that's going on. I'm intrigued with how is this all coming about? How is all this stuff now coming to the forefront? Because it is not, how do you keep it under wraps? How do you deal with your play? There's so many things to address with this stuff, man.
It really is, Strick. And you hit on something I want to follow up and ask you about. How do we go from making freshmen and making rookies, carry pads and helmets and pick up water bottles and cones to hazing, right? Yeah. It's one thing to pay your dues, right? To do the grunt work. And then, the next year, the next couple of years, it's someone else's turn. That's not hazing. It never has been.
And they do that in the NFL. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. It's all across sports, right? Make the rookies go on the coffee run. Make the rookies bring donuts, bring food for the team. Like, that's not hazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do karaoke.
Yeah. Right. But what's happening at Northwestern clearly crosses that line. So what is it? Is it sports? Is it human nature? What is it that makes locker rooms cross that line?
I have no clue, bro, because when I saw the Jalen Green situation, I was like, what the, like, where when did we all come to this? I mean, like, we have fun, we say things, we have bus rides, you talk about the nights that you had, while you're in Miami or whatever, you have these type of discussions. But I'll say this, leadership is so important. And let me give you an example. We were a young team. We had a bunch of young guys on the team. I'm speaking about the Dallas Mavericks when I was with the Mavericks. We would get on the bus and we maybe have went out and we probably had a great time. And there was a guy that always sat in the back of the bus, knowing that he's not into these conversations. He's not, but because of his leadership, we all respected him. And we didn't have all that crazy and all that discussions and talk. We waited till we were and that was AC Green. When AC Green, he sat in the back of the bus with us all, we were cognizant of his presence. And because he was such a great leader, that we made sure we didn't have all those types of crazy discussions and stuff like that. And so I'm lost now because it's like a free-for-all. It's like everybody's just do what you like, do what thou wilt. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy to me because I couldn't imagine a hazing situation getting to that point. Because first of all, I'm not dealing with it. It's going to be a major problem. If that was going on with me, hey, listen, we just got a problem. It ain't going down with me. So I couldn't imagine how it would get to that point or how the culture was so tainted that it allowed it to get to that point, Austin, because that's not something that you come in with. That's a ramp up to where it gets that debaucherous, right? That's a ramp up. It starts off subtly, a little bit more, and it kind of ramps up to that point. That's the way I see it.
And Pat Fitzgerald's been in charge for long enough that maybe, like you're saying, it didn't start off that way, but over the last at least 10 years is what it sounds like from the reports. I mean, it's been going on for about half his time, is what these players are alleging. Strick, we do have a phone call. We're going to head to the Honda of Lincoln hotline, bring in T-Bone. T-Bone, what you got for us?
Hey, guys. Hey, before I get to the whole Pat Fitzgerald debacle, I just want to make a comment that Stricky is probably the best high school athlete I ever saw. I've been following high school sports since the late 70s, and I saw him in the 80s and 90s, and he was a tremendous athlete. I don't know if people realize that, but I had to throw that in for you, Stricky.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Go ahead, break it down for us.
So the comment I want to make is what's really sad about a lot of this, there's been other incidences, but the thing that stands out to me is it sounds like this has been going on a long time. And unfortunately, it didn't come out until he started losing. Because if you go back to the Penn State debacle and look at that, it took some guts for somebody to come out, and then he got vilified for turning in Sandusky, and then everybody wanted to keep Paterno because he was winning. And then if you've ever seen the documentary on Indiana basketball and Bobby Knight, the same thing happened when the young player who had the guts to turn it in, and his life has been ruined because of it. He turned him in, and they finally got rid of Knight. But yet all the fans, stood up for him because he won. So it's sad to think that this stuff goes on when somebody's winning. Maybe that's why Fitzgerald didn't get called on it, because, he won those two West Division titles, and maybe nobody wanted to stand up. So I hope the young man who has turned him in doesn't get vilified like everybody else has. So anyway, I appreciate the conversation, and I'll be listening. Thanks.
Thanks, T-Bone.
Great stuff. I mean, it couldn't have been said any better myself. I concur with everything he just said. It's just one of those things. Winning does make the difference. It does change everything. It also, winning determines whether or not the slap on your hand or on your wrist or the trouble. Now, look, like for example, please don't take this as literal. I'm just giving an example of what we're talking about here. Let's just speak about in the music realm. I'm not going to get into the details. We're not going to relitigate anything. We're just going to talk about the winning culture that can lead you to overlook some things or kind of, look past some things, right? So in the news, it's stuff you can look up. So it's nothing that I'm saying isn't out there. But there's a man by the name of R. Kelly that because he was so great at what he did musically, he's making a ton of money for the industry, for their I can't remember what they call them, their music groups or whatever they call them. And, a lot of the stuff was going on. People were coming out. They knew that some of this stuff was happening and nobody said nothing as long as the money train is running. And then once that happens, then all of a sudden some of this stuff comes out. It's unfortunate. And my issue is, how do you change it?
That's just the thing. And this, I'm sure, has been going on, probably since the dawn of college athletics.
Yeah.
Right. And that's unfortunate. Like, it's just a thing we have to deal with in sports. And it's crazy we've had this long to change it. It's crazy it still persists. But I think it just speaks to human nature wins out, sometimes in good ways, sometimes in negative ways. Let's take a pause on this. We do have to get to Brian Munson. We'll get to him on a Husker football recruiting update and a little bit more with Brian next.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Proud to be voted Best Vape Shop.
Generation V
Is thrilled to announce our newest location is now open at 27th and Superior.
Generation V.
Explore with the largest selection of vape, Delta 8, Kratom, all your favorite brands of disposables, e-liquid, and premium THCA flower.
Generation V.
We'll guide you through our extensive collection to help you find the perfect fit.
Generation V.
With locations in Lincoln, Omaha, Seward, York, Kearney, and Beatrice. Visit our newest store now open at 27th and Superior in Lincoln. GenerationV.com. E-cigs contain nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Hey, CNC machinists, do you feel like you're in a dead-end job with your boss hovering over your shoulder? That's so annoying. Not at Garner Industries. We provide the opportunity and trust our CNC machinists to bring the talent. I'm Bob Williams, HR Director at Garner Industries, and we are looking for new team members in our CNC department. At Garner Industries, you'll work in a clean, climate-controlled, and safe environment with team members who want to see you succeed. You will also enjoy 4-day work weeks, great benefits, and a positive working culture. Interested? Apply on our career page at garnerindustries.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Coppell Chevrolet GMC, and our Independence Day sale is underway with some great savings. Get 0.9% interest rates and a trade-in bonus on select new models. You heard right, 0.9% interest rates going on at Coppell. In addition, we didn't want to leave out our pre-owned inventory, so right now on all pre-owned cars, get $1,000 for bringing us your trade, and that's right, get $1,000 off any pre-owned car you trade in. So stop on in the store or at CoppellCars.com. You'll be glad you did. All deals with approved credit.
If your home water doesn't taste right, look right, or smell right, just call Bryant for the solution to your water problem. Call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions. 93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine, but lots of warmth too. We'll see a high of around 93. Tonight, we'll see a chance of showers and storms in the low of around 67. And tomorrow basically looks like a repeat of today with more sunshine in the forecast, but can't lost some storms late in the day. Tomorrow, we'll see a high of around 92. Meteorologist Kyle Puckett for 92.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back here on the block. Austin Norman and Eric Strickland with you. You go to the Allo VIP line, and we welcome in Brian Munson of Husker Online. Brian, feels like a long time no chat. How are you doing? Are you recovered now that we're in the dead period at all?
Doing a little bit better. Yeah, recovering is probably a good word. Trying to shift my focus and my attention a little bit to 2025 without trying to forget that, that there's still some spots available in the 2024 class. And obviously I think we're going to probably get some news here in the next week or so, potentially to one of those spots and keeping an eye on a few other guys.
Let's talk about Nebraska's 2024 class to start off here. I mean, the first full cycle for this new coaching staff, they did seems like a pretty good job. Getting up to 5th in the Big Ten, anywhere in that top 5, I think we see them ranked pretty consistently. What are your overall takeaways with, like you said, that spot, maybe 2 left, about this staff, their approach to recruiting, the types of players they're targeting?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Nebraska fans all saw that Matt Rule and his staff were shooting high. I mean, they had Brandon Baker in, and Brandon Baker, put out kind of a vague tweet over the weekend about where else could he go for an official visit. Nebraska is one of those 4 schools that were kind of on his tweet. You brought in like Nate Frazier and Aiden Breland and Dylan Williams and a bunch of other guys that, they're all 4- and 5-star guys. I mean, looking right past Dylan Raiola, but I mean, they really had to test those waters. I think they really had to kind of understand, from their perspective, those top, 100 type of players, like, how did Nebraska kind of stack up? Like, if you're looking at this genuinely from a coaching staff, facility, kind of fan support and the academic support and all the things that kind of go into it outside of record and, outside of the body of work and that kind of stuff. How did Nebraska kind of do? How do they fare? And I think that they did, reasonably well. I think that they got some great feedback there, but I think that, we kind of all agree there's really no reason for some of those players like Williams Nowerney, for example, number 1 defensive lineman in the country. Even if you're from Missouri, you don't have to go to a 4-8 team. You have plenty of other options, plenty of other places that, are trying to get you that are, a little bit or way closer to the playoff picture, coming in the coming years. So Nebraska is just kind of short, kind of where they're at with, Matt Rule and what he's done. I think that everybody would agree that the class looks good. There definitely was kind of this vibe where, Nebraska brought in that first group of like mainly defensive backs the first weekend in June. And then they started their camp schedule. And when they started their camp schedule, they started making some new offers, and they made offers on the satellite camp. They made offers in Lincoln, and a lot of those guys found their way into the class. And basically Nebraska kind of rebuilt their board as they went along in the month of June. And, clearly still athletic profile is a very high requirement, or a big requirement for Matt Rule and his staff. They are simply going to put a bunch of athletes out there, and they're going to bring those guys in as part of this class. But I think that that's going to be like the key to this class. We're gonna talk about it in a year or two, where we're gonna want to go back and take a look and say, when that decision was made to go a different direction than some of the guys that you had brought in that first weekend, or replace some of the guys on your list with other recruits, the guys that you had worked with, firsthand, tested firsthand, measured them. How did those guys fare in comparison to the other guys that you kind of walked away from? And that's just that it happens all the time, but I think it's a very interesting thing that what they did. I think that it says a lot though about the importance and the value that they have, working with those guys firsthand, testing them, measuring them. And I think also Nebraska was able to determine, right away that those guys that were camping at Nebraska, they were serious about being Huskers. They wanted to be a Husker. And I think that Matt Rule and his staff really value that.
When you look at Nebraska going after, like you said, those top prospects, those high 4, even 5 stars, was it a waste of time since they didn't get any of them? Or do you appreciate Nebraska at least going after them to send a message that, hey, Nebraska is still here, and maybe as, experience for if they get the program back to where they think it can be, they've had those conversations with prospects at that level before?
I think it's good practice. I don't know how reasonable it was that they were assuming that they could get any of those players. I think that they knew that they were moving the needle with all of them to some extent. given the type of player that you were talking to, given the geographic difference, it's not a Carter Nelson growing up in Ainsworth. It's not a guy in your backyard, so to speak. It's a guy that's growing up at Mater Dei High School, or inner city Los Angeles for that matter. And you've got a guy that you're trying now to encourage to take a look to come out there to Nebraska. And I think that's a great sign that, that they've got NIL, they've got facilities, they've got a coaching staff that these players really, really, really trust and that they like. But, and I don't think that was a waste of time at all. I think Nebraska is putting together a plan. I think the plan starts with, hey, let's test the waters now. Let's see where we're at, and let's figure out what needs to be done, and let's tweak some things, and hopefully we'll get some W's that we can put onto the scoreboard. And then after that, we'll try to go back and go into Southern California and get those guys. And I think it's also going to help that Nebraska, in the Big Ten expansion, playing in the Rose Bowl, it's not going to hurt. It's really not going to hurt to have that kind of Big Ten tie-in out of that area geographically.
We'll get back to Nebraska in just a second, Brian, but you brought up recruiting with, a coaching staff that players like, they appreciate, they get along with. A place that doesn't seem like that's happening right now is Northwestern, a place that's never recruited well. And it's obviously about the health, the safety, the mental well-being of the athletes on that team right now. But we've seen, scandals hit universities before, whether it's Baylor, probably what's coming at Northwestern from what we've already heard. Where does that program go from here? What kind of recruit can they realistically target?
That's a great question. Look, they had their own limitations anyway with their academic requirements. And now you put on top of that, these problems of, basically, it's not even making through this, and getting to the point where he has to be fired or resign. And there's a couple of big name guys that are kind of hanging out there that I think they might be able to go ahead and get, Big Ten names, but where they're at and kind of putting stuff behind them. I mean, we all saw the hangover that kind of happened with Penn State, but they were able to kind of move past that. The fact that this happened though, in a much tighter, chronological line than, when Joe Pa was in Happy Valley and that's going to be the harder part, I think, for people to kind of digest, because I think that everything then is fairly, relatively, it's a lot newer. And I think also, I think people are very hesitant. When stuff like that, it can hang over a university for sure, but there have been guys, obviously like what they did in Penn State, you've had other programs that were in trouble based on similar deals, or even other programs at a university like Michigan State's had their fair share of problems over the years. And Mel Tucker's moving right past that. He's having a heck of a year recruiting. So it's going to definitely cause some issues there with what they can do in a recruiting class. I think that's what the portal hopefully is kind of for. You still have guys that are looking for those 4-year opportunities, and you have a big, academic institution like Northwestern. They'll have an ability to kind of get some guys in there, but it's clearly not going to have the kind of talent, and you have to go back and repair obviously what's been damaged.
Brian, good to have you on the show as always. I have a quick question that we had a caller that called in, and as well, it's something that's just kind of been on my mind, and I want to just get your perspective on it. But do you think this has anything to do, because we talk about the winning culture, we talk about the culture of winning and how this can pacify or cause you to kind of have a turn the blind eye or just turn your back and the actions going on behind you type of field and flow to it? Is this something that we can expect to see more of now that some of these situations are starting to occur, or do you see it happening as the turning of the tide of wins turn into losses, and then you start to see the mishaps and the problems start to exist?
Yeah, that's a toughie. How much collateral damage can people look past when it comes to being successful? obviously everybody saw the story about the latest person that got in trouble in Athens that was speeding. I think it was like an 88 and a 55. And supposedly there's been a number of issues with players driving fast, getting pulled over. And sometimes that stuff gets a little bit overblown, but I mean, people were asking questions like, give me names, give me dates and stuff like that. Well, then you just got this one that just happened to follow in right after basically the accusations were being made. I think the bigger problem here is that institutional control has a lot to do with the safety of the athletes, safety of the players and the people that are around them on campus. When you start talking about the Bryles situation in Waco and living down here, it was an absolute nightmare, with the coverage that was happening and the things that were coming out of Waco, the stuff that Matt Rule had to follow up and pick up and fix and mend and, defend the university at one side, and at the other side know that things had to be fixed and had to get better, and that public safety was a problem. That's where I think that you have the biggest issues. I think that there's always a thing that kind of comes along with, being in college and having that time, and there's always some trouble there. And I think that, I think one coach that we went to a camp said it the best. You're in the ultimate fishbowl. There's about 12 games or 12 weekends a year where, the media are going to be on top of you. But the problem is, since you're a student athlete, you're basically watched 365 days a year. You are completely and totally different in the eyes of everyone else. You are here to do this, to represent the school. And that's a difficult thing to kind of do based on like your age, the peer pressures, the opportunities to kind of do those things and potentially get into some issues. So I think when public safety is at risk, that's where people start singing a different tune. And that's exactly what you start talking about here, where you start talking about like, hey, it's not just like picking on the players a little bit. This is moving into hazing and putting people's health in danger.
And Brian, you would know better than us. I mean, just how much recruiting has changed since Pat Fitzgerald took over at Northwestern. But even though there is more going on with NIL, the portal, the data out there on kids, even as much as it's changed and grown, that's no reason to not still have oversight of your own program.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I mean, it's, I think that the span of control obviously has grown for the head coach. However, so have the staffs. The staffs have been a proportion, in my opinion, the staffs and the support staffs have been proportionate to those responsibilities. You have to have people that, in that kind of control that are out there, not just talking about on the field, practice, games, in the training room, whatever, talking about people who are watching and have that oversight, like what you had said. And those people ultimately, they may be, a lot of people would treat them and feel like they're insulation for the head coach. But in reality, what it is, it's a aggregated delegation. There's a delegated role and responsibility that gets pushed off onto that person. And they know that they're sitting in a space that when something is concerning and out of line, they have the responsibility to report that to the head coach. And if nothing happens, they've got to take it one step further before you have a problem like this. And that's where I think the real issue is here, guys. It's that someone had that type of control. Someone had that type of lens and perspective of what was happening. It should have been reported. And if it didn't get handled, and this is sounding very Penn State Joe Pa again, right? That then you go past that and you take it to one step further until somebody finally steps in and says, it's not a concern, or you're right, this is a concern. We have to do something about this and shut it down. When it comes back out the other way, when it surfaces out directly into the media, as opposed to a press statement internal that we have been made aware of these issues that have happened and running and whatever else they were calling it, that is a more controllable scenario there, where you can internally discipline coaches and the head coach and get them straightened out. The way that this has come out and surfaced, I don't know how he survives this with his job. I'll be honest with you.
Pause, and here's where I want to follow up. So text line, Big Daddy Travis on the text line says this, being what you just said, and I love what you just said, he said the entire Northwestern staff needs to be fired. Have we reached that point where it's to that level, being that it should have been an upward trickle till it got to the head ultimately, or do you think that's a little bit too much?
I think that those layers of insulation need to be examined, and if the information was brought there as a way of kind of reporting up like military style and not breaking ranks, then absolutely. But if you had a person who's like a director of player operations or player personnel or whatever, and they had some responsibility to watch out for the well-being of their athletes, whether that's under, the coaches that are there on the football field, or it's outside the plain view of this that's happening outside of that, that's where that person should be. That's where they still need to be at. And that's the part then that needs to be reported up. But if this happened in plain view, where this was practice setting, multiple coaches on the football field, and people weren't, to the point of like, this is going to get us all in trouble, or what we're doing now is basically, it's going to cause somebody to get hurt or other things, then I think that they have a reason potentially, if those folks were out there on the football field, that they all get fired. It's going to really come down to accountability. Where were these folks, and was this in clear view, part of the practice, right after the practice, or the players leave the football field, or how did that stuff kind of happen? So I've read a little bit about it. I don't know all the details, and obviously the truth is somewhere out there in the middle of all of it. But I think that honestly, if the coaches were on the football field and they saw any of that stuff, they should all be fired.
Brian Munson of Husker Online with us here on the block. Brian, thanks for your time. Sorry to have such heavy subject material. Next week, though, we'll see if we can wrap up that 2024 class officially, like you told us to keep an eye on, and maybe turn our eyes to 2025 with you. Thanks again for your time, Brian. Really appreciate it.
That sounds better, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
There he is, Brian Munson with us on the Allo VIP line. Big shouts to Allo, everything they're doing with their fiber internet here in Lincoln, and hosting us on the block 93.7 The Ticket, Allo channel 951. If you're a subscriber, flip on your TV, find channel 951, and you can watch the stream there. Big thanks to Brian again. We'll take a break, and we will finish out on the block after this.
Hey guys, Jake Sorensen here from Early Break. The garage door at our house has been needing replacement for a couple years, and a few months ago, we finally did something about it. Steve's Garage Doors and Services was great through the whole process in providing options and also going to the next level to get a door that was approved by our HOA. And best of all, the removal of the old door and installation of the new door was done smoothly with no issues. Call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today at 402-480-9462.
This is Brian at Midwest Bank, and we've been proudly serving clients in the Lincoln community since 2008, and we're excited to open a second location in January 2024 at 70th and Pioneers Boulevard. Our new branch will provide all the convenient services you're looking for in a bank, along with the friendly staff we're known for. Whether you're starting a business or expanding your business, our team is here for you, your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com, member FDIC.
Sandhills Global is hiring. Check out sandhills.jobs for more information. Sandhills is looking to fill hundreds of new openings in sales, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Sandhills has a professional culture and is fast-paced with a focus on growth, innovation, and leading-edge technologies. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Apply today at sandhills.jobs.
The Butchery by Venue is Lincoln's premier specialty grocers. Take the quality of Venue home with you with our hand-cut steaks, handcrafted burgers, and locally sourced offerings. Browse our wide selection of specialty products designed to enhance your dining experiences with cheeses, spices, sauces, and more. We also have an exclusive collection of liquors, whiskeys, and bourbons at prices you're sure to love. Stop in to the Butchery by Venue today. Located in our Venue at Home storefront at 70th and Pioneers, just 2 doors down from Venue Restaurant and Lounge.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 10th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
The Butchery by Venue is Lincoln's premier specialty grocers. Take the quality of Venue home with you with our hand-cut steaks, handcrafted burgers, and locally sourced offerings. Browse our wide selection of specialty products designed to enhance your dining experiences with cheeses, spices, sauces, and more. We also have an exclusive collection of liquors, whiskeys, and bourbons at prices you're sure to love. Stop in to the Butchery by Venue today. Located in our Venue at Home storefront at 70th and Pioneers, just 2 doors down from Venue Restaurant and Lounge.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times, likely without even knowing, at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. They sell in bulk to save you money, and you can buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to GELandscapeSupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Hey guys, Jake Sorensen here from Early Break. The garage door at our house has been needing replacement for a couple years, and a few months ago, we finally did something about it. Steve's Garage Doors and Services was great through the whole process in providing options and also going to the next level to get a door that was approved by our HOA. And best of all, the removal of the old door and installation of the new door was done smoothly with no issues. Call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today at 402-480-9462.
If your home water doesn't taste right, look right, or smell right, just call Bryant for the solution to your water problem. Call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Early Break with Sip and Jake.
Quick question. Where does the term dog pop? I've never seen a pile of dogs in my life. I've never seen that. If we've ever seen us driving down the road, and it's like, wow, there's 12 dogs on top of each other. So where does dog pile come from?
Well, that's a good question.
And that is a standard.
That's a good question.
If you say dog pile to anyone, they know it. That's not dog pile. Never seen a pile of dogs. Never in my life.
I want to know where that comes from.
Early Break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning. Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back here on the block. 93.7 The Ticket.
Where is he? He gone already?
He's just not back yet.
Nah, he gone, man. That's all right though, man. We on the little crossover. This Strick and Austin show. This is Jay Foreman popping in before we get into old school, doing it on the 1s and 2s, 3s and 4s, 5s and 6s. If you feel like getting in the mix, yes, I'm rapping and rhyming up in here. Look at Rico. He turned around. You know what time it is. I'm gonna tell you this, Austin, before Strick, if he ever comes back. I saw the best video on Instagram that I've watched 300 times since I was on the porcelain throne this morning. Do you know what the porcelain throne is?
I do know what the porcelain throne is.
And I watched it so many times, my legs fell asleep.
Oh, boy. Okay.
It's of, I don't know, where's my phone? Is my phone in here? Okay. I'm going to tell you, people, this is the best. I have to send this to you, Rico. You ever see something, you're laughing so hard, you start crying?
Yeah.
and it's uncontrollably.
I call that old school.
That is old school. And I've only done. There was another one where they did celebrity like spa, where the one lady goes in there and the dude was gonna get it. He must get his butt waxed, and she could not stop. She started laughing uncontrollably. So guess what? I saw it too. It's
what are we doing?
Hold on, you're not doing anything. You ain't never been around, and I ain't got no invite. So you and your little evil twin down there, I got something for you when you guys decide to come back. Ramon. The umpire's name is Ramon De Jesus or whatever.
De Jesus.
He ejected 3 Rangers in between innings. And the first dude he threw out, he already had his hat off. And when he threw, he gave him the leg kick. His boy, his old must have been like base running coach. Maddox came out there, trotting out there. He looked at him like, "What you doing out here? Like, who the heck are you?" He said, "You know what? You ran out here. You get out of here too." And then the old manager, and that ump might be 5 feet tall, right? Because Bucci or whatever is the tall dude. The manager came out there, he must have told the ump something. The ump kind of agreed with him. Then Strick, you know this from the refs in the NBA. You say one catch word, then they were like, then he was like, you know what? You gone too.
You gotta go.
It's the funniest thing I've seen on Instagram in well over 2 years.
Wow.
It's funny, man. People that make these videos, they got a lot of imagination. I hope they're using it for good causes, man. Strick.
I send them to Austin all the time, the little comedic videos where they do in the NBA where they'll have hi, I'm pool boy, and then all of a sudden Draymond will come in and knock him out. So he's like, I had to put him to sleep again. It's these funny commentaries. But they just had one of Dame Lillard, and it was absolutely hilarious.
Hostage game.
They had Dame tied up, right? And then it was like Portland was like ISIS or something, right? And they had him tied up, and they was like, you need to read, but they were talking in international or Arabic terms. And then he hit Dame in the eye. He was like, hey, he was saying, Pat Riley. It was Pat Riley, Bam Adebayo, and they have Jimmy Butler, and they call him like Jimmy the Butler. And so he talks like with this French accent. And he's like, Dame, or he's like, Jimmy, you've got to get me out of here. And he hit the guy, hit Dame. And all of a sudden, Dame said, you had to read, I am tied up here and I can't be released or something like that. And next thing you know, they're like, Pat, what are we going to do? We're going to go down there and we're going to do this to him and stuff. It's the most hilarious stuff. I don't know, man. The internet is undefeated, bro. It's always, you just can't avoid it. Like the Michael Jordan memes are forever. Like the cry meme they had, it's like all that stuff is like crazy out there.
Hey, Strick, man, I want to know what you know. The news just came out. I know you're down there, so I want to know what your feeling is that they shutting down the French Connection just after 2 summer league games. What do you think about that?
Let's pause for ID. Then Strick can go.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. The home of Kansas City Royals baseball. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
So the way that it kind of works, like if you're a star, you're their elite player. Like for example, I was a starter, but I was in my second year, so I went to summer league. But then I was also trying to get a contract, so I played 2 games. Usually, if you're that guy, you most likely you're going to play 2 games. You're their star player. Now, if you're coming back maybe off of injury, they may give you a little bit more because they want you to kind of get reacclimated to the game. But that's not unusual for that to happen. It's sad that like over the last few years, Jay, what you've been seeing is a lot of these top tier lottery picks, they've been getting injured. So like you had Chet Holmgren, he got injured. Then Scoot goes down.
First game.
And then one of the Asher brothers, Asur brothers go down, or Thompson. I think it might have been Asur. I could be wrong. He goes down with an ankle. So they try to minimize the opportunities for that to happen, because what you have, it would be similar to this. And you would understand this part, Jay. It would be similar to like me going into the YMCA and playing against guys that are scraping, or they're like, oh yeah, this is my opportunity to get after this guy. That's the way they're looking at it. These guys are trying to win jobs. These guys are trying to get on. So they're playing extra hard. They're reaching extra hard. They're trying to take charges and they're undercutting.
Right.
I mean, so they're trying to minimize that from happening to some of their better guys.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. It'll be an interesting year for him. I think I think he's in a good situation being down there in San Antonio, where Greg Popovich does a really good job and can do a really good job of shielding him from any type of, negative, articles or publicity, because I think it's going to take him a little while to find his way. And then also it's going to take a little while for San Antonio to kind of revamp their San Antonio kind of system around his skill set as he gets bigger, faster, stronger, and better, and getting used to the NBA. I think he will do well in the NBA. I think if they continue to draft well and develop well, I think the way that San Antonio remember how they started to get Tim Duncan a little bit farther away from the hoop and then use his post-up game as kind of like the killer. I think you could start outside and then teach him how to be more of a effective back to the basket player later on when he gets his body matures. So I think it could work out. He definitely has a skill set. He's definitely unique. He's very young, which people don't understand, but he's very good at what he does. He knows what he does well. I think once he kind of gets his bearings and figures out how to play, I think late in his rookie year, you're going to be like, yeah, okay, I can see where they're going with that. I think it's going to take him a little while to adjust. I think people are going to be gunning for him, but then I think he's all in on being the best basketball player that he can be. And I think with that, along with Greg Popovich re-signed, it's like they're married, right? And it's Greg Popovich doing this one more time. I think he could be a pretty good player in the NBA.
I said the same thing. I said for me, he reminds me of Dirk, because Dirk was very similar, very, very perimeter dominated. And I remember one time at practice, we ended up getting a switch and Dirk's trying to post me up. And I was like, yeah, right. And I had him all the way out of the 3-point line. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
He was slight when he came in.
Yeah. And that's why I say he reminds me a lot of that. And it took Dirk quite a while. Well, you knew he was going to be great because you knew he had the skill set. You just knew there was an adjustment period. There was a cultural difference. Then there was an adjustment to the physicality and the speed that you're playing against on a regular basis. It's a style of play. Also, the floor is a little bit more open. There's a difference between that and the game there. So that's why your skills and the using of those skills are a little bit different, both in Europe as opposed to here. Yeah.
Strick, I wanted to ask you before we let you get back to your activities, obviously with the Northwestern situation, we're going to cover it, extensively, on old school here. I guess give my thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts just initially. I mean, I think it's got to be, right, wrong, or indifferent. Fair, not fair, in between. At the end of the day, Northwestern and Pat Fitzgerald knows right now he can no longer coach at Northwestern. We know that. He can't under any circumstances. And really, to be honest with you, there's some holes in whoever this former player's story is. But even if he's like saying, oh, we did another investigation and we're still coming back and we're going to suspend him for 2 to 6 games. If I'm Pat Fitzgerald, I don't want to be there anymore. And it's not because he doesn't want to be the coach. It's because it's his alma mater. He's done a lot of great things there. It's a black eye on his kind of tenure and who he is as a person. And to be honest with you, he probably feels, even though he feels like, I'm assuming he feels like it wasn't involved or, let it go on. But he knows that him being around and on the sidelines, that's going to dominate it and it hurt Northwestern more than anything. Now, with that being said, when they decide to hire a full-time coach, whether they go interim this year, then finally get into it's too late to hire a coach for the future right now. Do you think they go an older coach or try to get an up-and-coming coach and just push reset again? And maybe not a former player at Northwestern, but somebody they could get, maybe from a, lower Division I and has a really good year. And look, Northwestern has the financial support. The academics obviously is always going to be an issue as far as getting guys in, but you do have things ready-made to be a consistent winner by Northwestern standards. from the work that Pat Fitzgerald did? Do you think they go young or old?
Well, looking at this, you've got a couple things that's out. They're trying to build a new facility, $800 million facility. So you're going to need a balance, I think, on somebody who is very young but charismatic, somebody who can be able to bridge the gap in the business realm as well as touching those younger players. I think this should happen before media day. I would think they need to pretty much remove Pat Fitzgerald before Big Ten media day. I think they really that needs to be a decision because you don't want that going into. Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that going in there. But I think it needs to be a bridge, like somebody that's not too young, but you want somebody that's still close enough to be able to touch and identify, but has the charisma and has the ability and the business acumen to be able to touch those in the business community so that they can get the facilities that they need to upgrade to be able to take them into the future. And he can ride that wave with them.
Yeah, he's gonna. But also with that type of money, $1.2 billion. If you think of the new stadium and the renovations that they're going to do, and then obviously the football facility, which those checks are already cashed and that money's already raised. I don't know. If they broke ground, I don't think you can go back on it. And really, to be honest with you, if you're trying to hire a new coach with this type of situation, you can't go back on it. So this is why this decision and these allegations are so serious, and because it's not just touching Pat Fitzgerald. Pat Fitzgerald's going to be okay. He's going to be all right. He's made a lot of money. He will get another coaching job. I'm assuming unless some things come out like Art Browse and he was fostering this type of behavior, so forth and so on. He's going to be okay. But the other coaches that maybe didn't know anything, the administrators, the people that work in the office, the people that were just going every day and not really knowing that they were in that football program, you're going to have to come in and literally fire everybody just because, not because you want to, it's because you have to. So the new coach is going to have some cachet. You're not going to be able to go get a coach without somewhat of a name because you have to sell him as the future of Northwestern football. And we're trying to, and it used to be 10 plus years, right? Now it's got to be 6 years from now. We should be back to winning 8 games in the Big Ten and going to a consistent bowl game and back to where we were in our glory days as far as Northwestern and so forth and so on. So
are they looking for their own Matt Rule?
Well, I mean, they probably want to find. No, I mean, Matt Rule was able to do at Baylor. It's a totally unique, different situation because this is my opinion. Like it's easy to go in and fire everybody in that situation because there was a lot of people that knew it and turned a blind eye. Also, recruiting in Texas at Baylor when Baylor had been winning and had some facilities is probably a little bit easier in Northwest. Not taking anything away from Matt Rule because I know that is not an ideal place to live or coach. Just on the field and getting athletes is different than Northwest. Look, Illinois is taking all the good players out of the Chicago area, Iowa, and if Ohio State, Michigan, or anybody else comes in there, they're going to get them as well. So you're getting lower end guys out of the 500-mile radius for them. So it's going to take a unique coach with a new type of mindset to turn this around. So it'd be interesting to see if I'm the president and if I'm Pat Fitzgerald, I'm walking in there and say, look, man, I'm not going to admit I did something wrong, but the best thing for you and me and Northwestern and with this situation, this is going to, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to fight this, but let's come to some sort of financial agreement and just, kind of almost not even, I wouldn't even have a press conference. I would just send out like a one page, or one sentence thing out to the media.
Not I'm back, but I'm gone.
Well, we just relieve it. Pat Fitzgerald, effective immediately. Leave it at that.
He's Jay Foreman, Eric Strickland in Las Vegas. Stricky, travel safe back. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Dang, Strick.
You come back.
You in Las Vegas right now? Look at him cheesing over there. Look at him.
All right.
You're going over. Don't be open close sapphire too long, boy. I see you. Hey, you need me to make some calls for you, man? No.
Dikembe, no.
All right, man. All right, be safe out there, dude. For real, man.
Yes,
watch your back, man.
I'm in the room.
They're Jay and Strick. I'm Austin. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the block 2 to 4. Old School comes up
We
next.
gotta watch out for Strick.
Proud to be voted best vape shop.
Generation V
Is thrilled to announce our newest location is now open at 27th and Superior. Explore with the largest selection of vape, Kratom, all your favorite brands, e-liquid, and Premium THCA flower.
Generation V.
We'll guide you through our extensive to help you find the perfect fit.
Generation V.
With locations in Lincoln, Omaha, Seward, York, Kearney,